I never imagined a single careless joke could end a marriage. Not mine, at least. I always thought real damage came from cheating, lies, or massive fights, not from one offhand comment at the wrong time. Looking back now, that idea seems so naive. My name is Sarah. I'm 35, and I was married to David for 12 years. Or at least I was. I'm still adjusting to the quiet void he left behind. David was never the loud type. Not flashy, not overly charming around new people, but dependable and steady. The kind of man who showed up on time, fixed problems before anyone asked, and remembered little things everyone else forgot. I often joked that he was too predictable. He'd just smile and say, "Somebody has to be." That was David. Reliable, grounded. From the outside, our life looked perfect. A neat house in a suburban neighborhood of Raleigh. Routines that rarely changed. Weekend grocery runs, dinner at the same time every night. We didn't fight often, but over the years, our conversations lost depth. They became all about schedules, finances, errands. Who'd pick up what? I noticed, but I didn't bring it up. Talking about it would make it real. Work was different. There was excitement, laughter, recognition, a sense of being seen. One coworker, Ryan, was endlessly playful. Nothing serious, just fun. Or so I told myself. I laughed harder than I probably should have. I noticed the way it felt a little too exciting, but I pushed it aside. You know that feeling when you sense something might be off, but ignoring it seems easier than dealing with it. One night, we had dinner with friends. A little more wine than usual loosened the conversation, which drifted from work to couple dynamics. Someone teased David for being too serious. He smiled like he always did. I wanted to lighten the mood and sound witty, so I made a joke. If David didn't loosen up, maybe I'd swap him for someone with more personality. I even mentioned Ryan just to make it clearly silly. The table paused for a moment. Someone chuckled and I thought it was over. But David didn't laugh. Not a smile, not a frown. Nothing. He finished his drink, thanked everyone, and drove us home silently. I expected at least some irritation or a teasing comment. Nothing. His face was calm, too calm. At home, I tried to make it a joke again to fix the tension. He looked at me for a long moment and said simply, "I know." No yelling, no argument. Then he went to bed early. I stayed awake scrolling on my phone, convincing myself I was overreacting. The next morning, David was already gone. No note, no message. Strange, yes, but not alarming. I went to work distracted, but okay. By lunch, I checked my phone. Still nothing. I texted him asking if he was okay. No reply. That evening, I returned home to a new kind of emptiness. His shoes were gone. His work bag. Some clothes. The garage was empty. On the kitchen table, my wedding ring sat neatly in the center, perfectly placed. At this point, I want you to comment below. Do you think my joke went too far? Or was it harmless? I need to hear your thoughts. My heart raced. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted more. Still nothing. Hours became days. Silent, sudden disappearance. No fight. No explanation. I kept replaying the dinner, my tone, the joke, everything. I told myself he'd talk it out. David was reasonable. That's what terrified me. On the third day, he finally sent a message. "I've moved out. Please don't contact me. I need space." That's it. No anger, no blame, just a boundary. That night, I sat on the couch staring at nothing, finally seeing the truth. David didn't leave because of the joke itself. He left because it revealed what he already felt, something I had ignored for years. The following days blurred together. I worked, smiled, went home to a house that felt foreign. I waited for anger, something tangible to fight back against, but only thinking came. And thinking hurts when you've avoided it for so long. A week later, a handwritten letter arrived. David always preferred writing personal notes. Just holding it made my hands shake. He didn't blame me. He didn't mention Ryan. He wrote about the slow erosion of respect, about how small neglects pile up unnoticed. He said the joke wasn't what hurt. It was proof that the respect he had been protecting was already gone. He explained how he had made himself smaller for years so I could shine more, learning to laugh softly and stay quiet to avoid criticism. Reading it was painful because it was true, and truth doesn't allow excuses. I wanted to call, explain, insist I didn't mean it that way. But intent couldn't undo the damage. For the first time, I asked myself something I'd always avoided. Why did I crave those laughs? That recognition more than valuing the man who stayed. Weeks later, memories surfaced. Times I brushed him off, ignored his efforts. I wasn't cruel, just careless. Carelessness can hurt deeper because it feels normal. A friend told me David was calm, focusing on himself, seeing no one new, not angry. That made it even harder. There was no villain, just someone choosing his own worth over staying. One evening, I ran into Ryan. It felt hollow immediately. Any imagined fun vanished. I finally realized the joke wasn't funny. It was a comparison, and comparison corrodes relationships already fragile. Months passed. Legal papers arrived. Simple, quick, no drama. David kept his promise and stayed away. When the divorce finalized, I expected devastation. Instead, I felt calm, a quiet acceptance. Loss doesn't always scream, it teaches. I learned love doesn't vanish overnight. It fades when respect erodes. I learned jokes can expose hidden truths. I learned chosen silence is strength, not weakness. On the final papers, I paused, not to stop, but because I finally understood. David didn't leave on impulse. He left fully aware. That awareness makes all the difference. If you've stayed with me until the end, remember this. The line between harmless and hurtful isn't always obvious. It shows up later with consequences. Sorry comes after it's too late. I share this not to play victim or paint him as perfect, but to show that respect is fragile, easy to take for granted. Once it's gone, love often doesn't wait. And David never looked back.